welcome TikTok, welcome Facebook, welcome YouTube. I was just starting off all the streams and answering an email, multitasking this morning. It is, what is it? It's Wednesday, the 9th of July. How are we all? Are we all good? We are nearly halfway through the working week. If I've not seen you, I hope you've had a good couple of days. Putting in an extra live this morning because normally, well, not normally, but every other week at 8:30 a.m. on a Wednesday, I do an Everything Weight Loss Zoom session for my community. That Zoom session every other Wednesday is also in the evening. So when it's in the evening, I'm jumping on here and doing a bit of a YouTube live. Now, I am squinting a bit this morning. Why? Because I can't be bothered going. I'm going to go and change them in a minute. But basically, I put my contact lenses in the wrong way around. So my right contact lens is in my left contact lens. I'll be back in 2 secs. Betty is rattling on the back door. She wants to come and get out. I'm here. I'm back. Just leave the doors open. It's the best thing about summer. You can just leave the doors open. The dogs can come and go as they choose, in and out of the house. Anyway, there we go. Let me. What am I doing now? I have no idea. Oh yeah, let's do a top 5 on TikTok. Donna, good morning. You're in at number 1. Callum's in at number 2. Helen's in at number 3. Carol's in at number 4. And Sheila is in at number 5. Good morning, guys. Thank you very much for jumping straight to the live, coming and saying hello. Paula, good morning. Dotty's in, morning, mate, and Amy. Kirsty B's in, morning. Jane, good morning. Good morning, Lou. Kelly C, morning. Morning, Neil. How are you feeling this week? Michael, I am very good. Michael, I think you sent me a message about a subscription. I think it's your protein box. I think I'll look into it today. I think it's your subscription fee. That's the only subscription that I can see is that you get your monthly protein box. So I think that's what it is. And that's the first time I've been number 1. Winner, chicken dinner for Donna. Stayed on 2.5 this week and just reordered 2.5 going forward. Okay, so you're easing down on the old MJ. Do you know what? It's really not weird because I think it's just kind of where we are in the year. So obviously Mounjaro became extremely popular at the turn of the year. Weight loss is just extremely popular in January. And everyone was kind of, not everyone, it felt like everyone was jumping on the old MJ train. And, you know, I've never come along and said, I've got a special Mounjaro plan or this, that, and the other. But, you know, riding with the times a little bit, you know, I ended up with a couple of clients in January sort of saying, hey, boss, got a confession. I'm giving the jabs a go. Fine. Can I still work with you? They're asking my permission. I was like, of course you can still work with me. I work with clients that have had bariatric surgery. I work with clients that are prescribed Orlistat. I work with clients that, you know, if you're on coaching is coaching. It doesn't matter. You know, you could have the best tennis players in the world, Wimbledon at the moment. They all have coaches, right? Even though they're the best, right? They still have coaches to make sure that they're doing what they do, an outside view, keeping an eye on things. So it's like, yeah, of course you can. From that, I've talked about it quite a bit. And now I probably have 25 clients so I've got about 150 active one-to-one clients that I work with. And about 25 of those are currently using Mounjaro. The last 6 to 8 weeks is where, and I don't know if it's just because people have started ramping the doses up or people are just becoming a little bit more honest about it. I'm seeing quite a few more like issues, as it were. Now, and there's always going to be side effects. And I think sometimes when motivation is extremely high, which it obviously is January, February, March time, you know, I think we kind of, and again, at the beginning of the year when people were coming onto it, they were on the 2.5 mil loading dose. And maybe it's got to a point now where the doses are slowly starting to get ramped up. But you know, there isn't, and I'm not really massively following loads of people on TikTok that are on Mounjaro. I'm not really, I'm just kind of working with my clients and taking things on board from them. But yeah, I've had a new client start. Well, she's starting on Monday. I'm not going to name any names. And she had a lot of, and when I say issues, I'm talking side effects. And these side effects, I'm not trying to fearmonger here. They're not like, they're just kind of like situations dated, like, worse nausea, worse diarrhea, or a worse constipation, or a combination of both. Can't go to the toilet for a few days. Then, it's like, can't be within, 2 meters, need to be within 2 meters. So little things like headaches. I've also had a few clients, well, one mainly that's coming off it because of this, where it's massively ramped up their anxiety. So they were quite an anxious person anyway, but then from taking Mounjaro, their anxiety has worsened, and they just don't feel that the support it gives them to control their appetite is worth what it's doing to their mental health. Client that started on Monday, really bad side effects at 5 milligram. So she's microdosed at 3.75. And she's lost a decent amount of weight, but she's come to me as a coach because she wants to get off it. She doesn't want to use it anymore. But she's, again, a lot of people worried about regression if they're not using the jab. And she's not actually, I don't think, worried about regression. Just wants to make sure that, she's eating the right calories, and just for a bit of accountability and a bit of support. Anyway, I am going to do maybe not what I'm actually, so just to summarize, and I'm actually going to do an updated podcast. So my episode 48 of my podcast, I talk about Mounjaro. I'm actually going to listen to that podcast back because I recorded that at the beginning of the year. And I'm going to listen to that podcast back and just see what my opinions and views were, because opinions and views change. And then I'm going to do an updated Mounjaro podcast. If I can listen to my other podcast today, I might record that and put it out there this week. So I'm going to record a new podcast today. I'm not quite sure what topic I'm going to choose, but I might do an updated one on Mounjaro. What I'm seeing with the side effects now, and this is why Mounjaro became really popular. So weight loss jabs are not a new thing. I first started working with weight loss jabs, GLP-1s, in 2022, 3 years ago. And the jab then was Saxenda. And Saxenda you jabbed every day. And still like Mounjaro, you built it up. So you might have started on 0.3 of a milligram a day, and you jabbed it every day. So 0.3 times 7 is 2.1 milligrams. So you jabbed it every day, and you built it up. So you might do 0.3 for a few weeks, then you might ramp it up to 0.6, then 0. And people were getting up, and the most you could take with Saxenda was 3 milligram a day, which then took you up to 21 milligrams over a week. Why Saxenda didn't have a sticking point, why it never became as popular as Mounjaro, the price point was the same, is the side effects on Saxenda from the very beginning people were finding it quite severe, certainly around nausea, right? People were getting very, very sick, like feeling very, very queasy, very, very nauseous from the off with it. And also because it was a daily jabber, it was a lot harder to maintain being consistent with it. So people, clients say, I forgot to take my jab this morning, or I'm in work now, I don't know what to do, and this, that, and the other. Whereas Mounjaro, much more simple, take it once a week. Much more simple, take it once a week. What I'm starting to see now from people on MJ is, as they ramp the dose up, is they're starting to see the side effects that are kicking people's arses on Saxenda from the off, really. But obviously, it's taking with Mounjaro a bigger dose. And I assume this is something that manufacturers are possibly working on, because there has to be a reason why the side effects of Mounjaro are less, certainly at the start, than they were with something like Saxenda. And these, surely these medications are going to evolve, and they're going to develop. And, to a point where maybe in 10, 15 years' time, there are other side effects are a lot less. I don't know. We don't know, do we? We'll have to see. You know, by the time it gets to that point, you know, to get to that point, is well, by the time we get to that point in 15 years' time, I'll probably be retired. So it might not affect me, but we'll see how things evolve over time, you know. I hate when people talk about weight loss. The goal isn't to lose weight, it's to lose body fat. Adam Benson, you're right and you're wrong all at the same time. There is a difference between weight loss and fat loss. And let me tell you exactly why it is and why I'm a weight loss coach and not a fat loss coach. Okay, when it comes down to fat loss is calories in, calories out. And people that just want to lose body fat tend to be in a different scenario than people that want to lose weight. What do I mean by that? Okay, so let's say you've never had an issue with, you're not a food addict, right? You've never had an issue with your eating, but you go to the gym and you want to get lean for whatever. That's fat loss, right? Why I'm a weight loss coach is I want to educate everything there is for people to understand, to create a better relationship with their weight. Adam Benson, when you get on a set of scales, does that set of scales measure your weight or does it measure your fat? Does it measure your bone? It's part of your weight. Does it measure your skin? It's part of your weight. Does it measure all your internal organs? They're part of your weight. Does it measure water fluctuations? Does it measure food fluctuations? Does it measure excess water retention coming in and out of the body? If you weigh yourself clothed, do you weigh more than if you weigh yourself naked? Yeah, because scales measure your weight, right? And as a weight loss coach, I'm here to give people a better relationship with weight loss. People, for the rights or wrongs of it, don't say I'm over fat. People say I am overweight. Now, weight loss and fat loss are two totally different things. When we go on a weight loss journey, we lose weight, right? The predominant thing we lose when we lose weight is fat, but we will also lose some water weight. We will also lose some food weight. We will also lose some water retention. If we don't put things into place, we can go catabolic, where we lose overall mass, so we might lose muscle, right? So I'm a weight loss coach, not a fat loss coach. Weight loss and fat loss are two totally different things. And if you followed me on a regular basis, you would know. I assume you don't follow me because you wouldn't have made that comment. You don't follow me, Adam Benson. So I educate everyone about weight loss, fat loss, everything. But I am a weight loss coach. If you're currently 10 stone and you want a six pack when you go to Ibiza, right? And you don't have an unhealthy relationship with the scales. You're not massively interested too much in fluctuations of food because you can control your eating nice and simple, right? You know, and you're training 5 days a week. That might be more fat loss. And I've done content on this before, but don't hate the player, hate the game, as it were. All right. So there is a difference between weight loss and fat loss, but right, you can call it weight loss. And if you don't understand that, you shouldn't be commenting. Yeah. How much do women roughly gain during their period? It's how long's a piece of fish, if I'm being honest with you. Ellie, it can, I've got clients that can gain, again, weight gain. People need educated around this, right? I've got clients that gain a pound or two. I've got some clients that gain 5 pounds. So it's not an exact number. What we need to understand is that you do gain weight when it is your period because you can become bloated. So you're around your midsection, you can gain water weight, and it tends to be around the midsection where the bloating comes. Not all bloating or not all water gain or excess water retention comes around the midsection. I've just come back from holiday and my legs go like absolute tree trunks. Like, I've got a lot of loose skin on my legs, and I've got quite a bit of loose skin on my calves. I'm leaning forward now, and I can pinch the loose skin on my calves. The day I got back from holiday, my calves were absolutely solid. I couldn't pinch an inch. I couldn't pinch anything. They were absolutely solid, and I had cankles like that. And that's just excess water retention. It's from flying, it's from being dehydrated. But obviously, when it's your period, you tend to get water retention around the midsection. How much you gain, it's different strokes for different folks. It really, really is. And what I recommend is, if your period is regular, you kind of know when your period is going to start. And maybe just, for the few days before, maybe jump on the scales and have a look. I don't advocate weighing too often. I really don't. And I've got my reasons for that. Right? And I think those reasons are very justifiable. But maybe if you don't understand the fluctuations of weight around your period, weigh a couple of times before it's going to start, and you'll kind of get, should it be relatively even? Yeah, kind of. You know your body, don't you? In a way, and just maybe for 3 or 4 periods at a time, and then you go, yeah, I normally gain a couple of pounds. Yeah, I normally gain about 4 pounds. Right? Once your period starts, your bloating will decease. I always tend to weigh more before my period than during, but then I hear people saying they gain more during. That's not something I've ever been subjected to. Like, for my clients tend to get their bump before, basically when you start bleeding. That's when it starts. Once you start bleeding, it then tends to subside. I'm not saying that's the case for every single person, but that's just a common trend with my clients. Mark, morning, mate. Morning, pal. Let me scan down and see if I've missed anything. Stephen, hang on. Let me just accept that. A lot of comments get filtered now on TikTok in lives, right. I've been on MJ and have lost over 12 and a half stone. Amazing in 57 weeks. That is some serious calorie deficit. Now, I have no idea, Susan, what your start weight was. Obviously, it was relative. I'm definitely assuming you were well in the 20 stone marker to be able to lose 12 and a half stone in 57 weeks. Would I say that is quite restrictive? Yeah. For me personally, whether you're on MJ or not, weight loss should still be healthy and sustainable. Now, if you were late 20 stones, can you lose 12 and a half stone healthy and sustainable in a year? Yes and no. I don't think you're going to be a million miles away, but why I always say this about healthy and sustainable weight loss is, whatever method you're using, the more restrictive we are with the method, the bigger the chance there is of regression. Right? That's not me saying that. That's not from my own experience. That's what data tells us. That's what science tells us. The more restrictive, the bigger the crash in terms of the diet, the bigger the chance of regression. And this is where loads of people, I lost 4 stone in 4 months. Yeah. And what happened over the next 6 months? I gained it all back and a smidge more. Right? And that's not what we want. But that is amazing weight loss. Nonetheless, the important thing is, Susan, you've put things into place to maintain those losses, right, hang on. Stayed on 2.5 this week and ordered 2.5, and it's working well now. There is still around 5 milligram in my system to average, though, from being on higher dose. Yeah, so me and Paula's been on Mounjaro for a few months now. And Paula comes on our Everything Weight Loss session most weeks and has a little natter and gives us an update. And it is interesting, some people might not be interested in the weight loss jobs. Me as a coach, I am interested in it. And it is good to see people's journeys. And Paula's been very open and honest about situations. And I've been doing a little bit of research. Paula sort of messaged me. She ramped up the doses to a point, and it actually made her quite poorly, or she'd increased the dose. And then she said to me about that Mounjaro actually stays in your system for 30 days. Now, I knew that all medications stay in your system for a period of time. So if you take 2 ibuprofen yesterday, a smidge of that ibuprofen. Things stay in our system for a period of time. This is why I'm always a bit like, try not to drink too much caffeine after 3-4 p.m. because, I had a Monster Energy. Talking about caffeine. So I was teaching spin last night at 5 o'clock, and I felt a bit knackered. Right? I just felt a bit like I'd had a busy day. I'd done a 45-minute dog walk in the afternoon. I'd not really. I had quite a high carby day yesterday because of reviews that I was doing for Worth the Calories. So I felt my blood sugars were a little bit low. And I didn't really want to raise my blood. I didn't want to eat before spin. So I had a Monster Energy. I normally, when I'm teaching a class at 5 o'clock, I have mini energy drinks, like 60 ml of caffeine, something like that, 70 ml of caffeine, just to give me a little pep, right? Nothing major. And then actually sometimes I have a banana as well. Good bit of potassium, good energy boost. Anyway, yesterday I just decided my sleep last night was all over the place. It really, really was. And it could just be coincidence. I'm a good sleeper anyway. And don't get me wrong, I had that Monster at 5 o'clock, but there's still probably around about 30-40% of the caffeine from that Monster floating around in my system at 11 o'clock when I turn my light out. And I did sleep all right, but I had a lot of quite vivid dreams. Right? And I tend to find that if I have caffeine later on. And I don't really. It's very, very rare I have caffeine after dinner time, if I'm being honest with you. Right, let me scan down. See what I missed. Looking good, lad. What do you weigh now? You have lost weight since I last saw you. I'm currently sat at about 18.10, I think. That is from my post-holiday weight gain. So when I went on holiday, I was sat just over 18. And I'm now 18 because I gained 8. So I might be 18.9. I gained 8.1 pounds from holiday. But a lot of that is water retention. And water retention, actually, it doesn't make you much bigger. It can do around the midsection. And that's where I'm holding it most now. I did just say that when I came back from holiday, a lot of water retention in my legs. I feel that's kind of subsiding. I still feel there was a bit of that knocking about when I did weigh on Friday, but I still feel quite bloated in my midsection. So that's my mission over the next couple of weeks. So I'm kind of a bit of a false weight, really. A true reflection of my weight. I've got nothing on now for a couple of weeks. I need to shift this any bloat from holiday, which I reckon I've not weighed. But I reckon by Friday this week, I'm probably going to be 3 or 4. I feel it. You can feel it in your body. You know where you're at. You know where you're at. Once I get, my plan was this year, once I get down to pre-holiday weight again after Benidorm, I was actually going to maintain and go into a bit more of a muscle building phase and probably try and gain a couple of pounds in muscle, not in fat. I'd probably stay in a very small calorie deficit. So I was going to up my calories to like 3,000, 3,250. And just increase my protein to like 250 to 300 grams a day, which tends to be, if I'm really trying to build muscle, that's kind of where I go to with my protein intake. But because we got a delay on holiday, we got some compensation, and I spent that compensation on another holiday, a weekend. I'm calling it a weekend away for my birthday. We are going to Benidorm 4 days. So yeah, I'm kind of like, now I'm like, I think I want to carry on losing weight until my holiday. So I don't know where I'm going to be at. First things first, I need to get down to pre-holiday. Once I get to pre-holiday weight, I'm going to decide what I'm going to do next. Hi, Neil. Love the content and the food recipes. Tom C, 2221. Thank you very much. There are now 40 recipes on YouTube, I think. I'm just having a look. Yes, if you don't follow me on YouTube, there are 40 recipes on my YouTube channel. The last one was my crispy barbecue beef tacos that I did last week. 40 recipes on YouTube. High protein, high fiber as possible, decent volume, simple to make. That is my whole philosophy around eating. It has been from the start of my journey, and it is my philosophy with my recipes. There is a brand new recipe out today which is my it's chicken satay chow mein. I had it for my lunch yesterday. It was absolutely delicious. That will be out at about 5 o'clock this evening. We are both on the Bend at Home Challenge now. Lynn, absolutely we are. Lynn, you've sent me a message, I think, about your daughter. I will get back to you this morning regarding that. Going to be interesting. I'm starting a new job in a couple of weeks, so we'll need to get meal prep. Donna, new jobs mean new routine. So what I recommend is for a new routine is for a couple of weeks, just accept that you've got a new routine, as it were. And what I mean by that is some people, they critique themselves too much. Like, oh, I've been a bit, I've not been too consistent with this, too consistent with that. And we do have to be aware that we've got to shuffle the priority pack when it comes to weight loss. And when you've got, a new routine, like a new job, that becomes your main focus, and weight loss can go to the back burner. That doesn't mean, that's not an excuse to just give up. What it is, though, is an excuse not to be too hard on yourself if things don't quite go to plan. After a couple of weeks, new routine simply becomes current routine, and we just need to get in. We just need to, crack on. But Donna's already planning there already. She's like, it's similar when Rachel started a new job in March. We've worked together for a couple of years from home. We've had breakfast together. We've had lunch together. We've got a kitchen. When you've got a kitchen, you don't need to be quite as on it, when you work from home, because you just don't wrong, you need to plan your eating and you should be eating off the cuff. But you don't need to think about meal preps. You don't need to think about lunches, because some days you can have beans on toast. Other days it might be a sandwich. Other days it could be a salad. Other days you might have a pig meal. You've got a lot of variety. When you're starting a new job, depending on, even if you're in an office and there's a microwave there, you still got to have a bit more of a thought process around things. So, but Donna, great that you're like, I need to start meal prepping. Yeah, that can be, meal prepping is fantastic. It is a great option. Now, I know you've got guys like, what's his name, that Burke, the meal prep king guy. Even before he came out to be an absolute narcissist. I didn't really like him anyway. Some people I don't know why. There's just some people that you get a bad vibe about. You probably start going, we got that with you, Neil. Hopefully not. But, meal prepping, spending 3-4 hours on a Sunday afternoon, meal prepping your food for the entire week, I just don't think it's a reality. I just don't think it works for me personally. But can you meal prep for a few days? Yeah. Can you meal prep your lunches? It depends how much you like eating repetitively. When I used to work in the gym, I used to be quite happy eating the same thing all the time. I just, I switched my mindset to food is fuel. Not a lot of people can switch their mindset to that. So I would make something like a spag bol on a Sunday and then box it up. I used to buy takeaway containers off Amazon, box it up, and that'd be my food for the next week. I just eat it every day for lunch. Just ping it in the microwave. Likewise, I used to do my yogurt bowls, similar to what I do now, but not quite as high protein. And I used to eat that every day. Not everyone's got that in them. Some people do quite like a decent bit of variety when it comes to their eating. So, yeah, I'd tell you one of the best ways to meal prep is to plan something that you're going to have for your tea that's as easy to make 6 portions as it is 2, if that makes sense. So again, something like a pasta bolognese, right? It's like whether I use 300 grams of mince, which is 2 portions, or I use 700 grams of mince, which might be 6 portions. Just buy the bigger pack of mince, whack it in the pan. It might take slightly longer to cook. You might have to chop an extra onion or open an extra tin of tomatoes. But generally, if I made a pasta bolognese dish for me and Rach, and I just made it for 2 portions, it would probably take me, I don't know, I like to cook my bolognese sauce down a little bit, but from where I can just leave it to simmer for an hour, it would probably take me 10 minutes, maybe 15 at a push. If I was going to make that same dish and make 20 portions, make 5 or 6 portions, it might take me 15 minutes, maybe. So for an extra 5 minutes of cooking time, to them. So that's my favourite way, and that's what I used to do. So I'd be like, I'd say to Rach, right, on a Sunday, right, I'm gonna do lasagna. It's like, right, for tea. And I'd just do a big tray lasagna and I'd make 6 portions of it. And I'd literally have one for tea, Rach would have one for tea, and then the other 4 I'd just box up and I'd have it for my lunches. You know, things like that. That's for me is the best way to meal prep, as it were. Breakfast and lunch 90% of the time is the same for me, and then get creative for tea. Did it? Yeah, Michael, that's kind of how I run things. You know, quite often yogurt bowl for breakfast most days, and then lunch is something like my deconstructed Chinese chicken curry or a stir fry. I just love it. I absolutely love it. Don't get me wrong, it can change each week, but sometimes like, right, this week for lunches, I'm going to have this. Next week for lunches, I'm going to have that, right? And then tea, I have to get creative because Rachel isn't a repetitive eater. She does like something different. You know, I say all the time, oh, do you fancy a curry tonight? No, I had one of them in 2019. Can we have something different? You know, whereas honestly, I would, if I lived on my own, I would be the most boring eater. But again, I'd make something that I love to eat, but I can eat, but not everyone can be like that, you know. What's the tea tonight? Last night we had a great, honestly, I was spinning. Rachel went to the gym while I was spinning. We didn't get home till about 6:30. And very rare for us, we hadn't, it was a bit weird this week. Again, out of routine. We went shopping on Tesco to do like a top-up shop, as I call it. We go to Tesco once a month and get like the branded bits and pieces that we like. And then the rest of the time I'd sort of nip into Aldi. We didn't do any meal planning this week. Slap on the wrist. We planned, you know, and then, so I messaged Rachel, said, I'm going to do crispy chicken salad. We normally have a salad on a Monday night. She was like, yeah, cool. I'm good with that. And then last night, I messaged Rachel today. I said, we've not planned tea tonight. And we've got some bagels in that I bought in Tesco on Sunday that I reviewed. And do you know what? This was tea last night. I did a bagel with Philadelphia Light on it and bacon. That was it. I wasn't actually that hungry. I had my satay for my lunch. And then I had quite a few bits and pieces in the afternoon because I was doing reviews for Worth the Calories. And yeah, I wasn't hungry. And do you know what? It was absolutely amazing. I had 4 rashes. I loaded this bagel. I had 40 grams of Philadelphia Light, a bagel, and 4 rashers of bacon on it. Oh, and proper rashers of bacon. It wasn't bacon medallions. Absolute top tier. That was tea last night. And then in bed, I ate a full box of King cherries from Aldi. Really good. Tonight for tea, we have got the basil and pine nut speciality pasta from Aldi. So having that, that's 300 calories. And then again from Aldi, I've got a couple of fillet steaks. If you ever read through, the fillet steaks are pretty decent, the specially selected ones. They're not cheap, $7.50 each. They're cheaper than my local butcher. But if I go to my local butchers, I get carrot. I always shop once a week at my local butcher. I tend to go on a Thursday and get a few bits for the weekend. But if I go to my local butcher and buy a fillet steak, it costs me 25 quid. Because I'm always like, can I get a good fillet steak? And then can I get one that's a bit smaller for Rachel? And it's 25 quid. Whereas I got Aldi, a bit more portion controlled, 170 grams. And they're normally a bit bigger than that. And they're $7.50 each. So we're having fillet steak tonight. Fillet steak and pasta, tender stem broccoli, and 1 piece of garlic bread. You've got to have a bit of garlic bread when you're having pasta. So that's tea tonight. Lunch today, I think I'm going to have beans on toast. I bought some different rye bread. I'm going to have beans on toast. Like, that's it, dead simple. Full tin of beans and some rye bread and to whack a load of fibre in. And then lunch, I'm going to have a breakfast now. Don't know what I'm going to have for breakfast. I want to go straight to I'm going to go and do a little bit of searching out some products or some content. And then I'm going to go to the gym. So I want to be out the door for kind of 20 to 10 this morning. But I do want a bit of breakfast. So I don't know. I'm going to say it'll be some sort of yogurt bowl. But I've got some blueberries actually. So I might do a fresh yogurt bowl rather than a frozen fruit, and a bit smaller because I'll be training in an hour. Anyway, there you go. Do you ever eat takeaways? Yeah, once a week generally. Generally, once a week, we will. It depends what your class is a takeaway. So we had a pizza from our local Italian. And if you follow me on Instagram, I post all my food pretty much on Instagram and Facebook. So we had a pizza. That was a takeaway. Got a Too Good To Go bag on Sunday, my first ever one. So I kind of classed that as a takeaway. We tend to eat out once a week and have a takeaway once a week. That tends to be our routine. Sometimes not every week, but and when I say eat out, I'm kind of talking like this week. Our eating out. We went to Tesco Cafe before we went shopping. I don't mean going out to like Miller and Carter or something like that. I got a bit tight in my old age. We used to go out for food every Saturday night. Me and Rach. We used to go out all the time, and I don't know if things just have got. I just feel things have got a lot more expensive anyway. But yeah, I've got a bit tighter in my old age. So yeah, we don't eat out. We probably eat out like what I would call a meal out that's like between 60 and 100 quid, because that's what it is. You go to Miller and Carter now, right? It's 100 quid, and that doesn't include alcohol. Like, if me and Rach both have a fillet steak, that's 80 quid. Have a starter each, you're at £100. It's absolutely crazy how much it is now to eat out, like in places that are like steaks and stuff like that. I'm having the new barbecue king kebab from Aldi today. There's a new barbecue king kebab. Why aren't people telling me these things? Right, I'm going to get that. I'll review that. That'll be next week on Worth the Calories. Heading on my holes today, 3 stone lighter, and that's largely down to you, Neil. Thank you, Lynn. Absolutely amazing. And have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. You and Rachel was, Matty Mummy, that's very kind of you to say. Right, I'm scanning up, see what's going on, and see if I've missed anything. What do you think of HelloFresh? My neighbours were on it most, lost tons away. I like HelloFresh. I like Gusto as well. I like them both. I personally think Gusto is slightly better. Certainly if you're on a weight loss journey. What I tend to find with, I used to call HelloFresh Hello Semi-Fresh, because you'd always get some veg that wasn't quite right. That's massively improved. As they've grown, their distribution centres, I think, are a lot more localised. So I've not had a HelloFresh probably for about 18 months, if I'm being honest with you. But their quality of produce did get a lot better. What I tend to find with HelloFresh is, and again, I've not had one for 18 months, so this again might have improved since then. They don't quite have the biggest range of lower calorie dishes. And you also tend to find with HelloFresh, you get a lot of like chicken thigh, which is fine. I love chicken thigh. Rachel doesn't. And you tend to get quite a lot of supplemented stuff. Like if you want healthier, like chicken breast, it's an extra £1 on top, or an extra £2. But they're just basically, what I used to love about HelloFresh and Gusto is you could try dishes or make dishes that you wouldn't normally have the ingredients in at home. Now, really, if I'm being honest with you, since I've started doing my own recipes and stuff, I've massively expanded my cupboards out. So I've got everything you need to make Asian dishes. I've got a lot of stuff to make your Thai stuff, your Chinese stuff, your stuff to make curries. But yeah, I used to love it. You could get like a Japanese dish, and it'd have the miso paste in there, and the wasabi and stuff, and that you wouldn't normally have in your cupboard. And it is good portion control, and it does have the calories on there. Why I think Gusto is slightly better is Gusto is like owned by Joe Wicks, or Joe Wicks, the body coach, or he's got like a massive stake in it. So they do have a lot of their meals are like ready in 15 minutes, and they do have a big range that's under 600 calories a portion, which I think that's kind of like my go-to. When I'm creating a dish, I try and get a dish for 600 calories or less. I don't care who you are. You should be able to have between 500 and 600 calories for a main meal. Even if you're on 1,500 calories a day, which is seriously low, and you want to bank calories for the weekend, if you had a 200 calorie breakfast, 500 calories for lunch, and 600 calories for tea, that's 1,300 calories. You've got no room for snacks. but you can then bank 200 calories for the weekend off that if you wanted to. Yeah. So, my aim when I create a dish, I try and make 600 calories like the top end limit. Sometimes you can't do that. And obviously, when I create a dish, you can alter um, um, portion size. Um, you can adjust, should I say, portion size depending on the calorie allowance that you have got. But I think most people should be having one main meal a day that's 500 to 600 calories. Yeah, not only just to get calories in, but to get nutrients in as well. As long as it's a nutritious dish. Saying that though, I'm going to put a recipe idea on Facebook and Instagram today that is 700 calories, but I'm doing a Wagamama Atsu chicken dupe, right? Now, I might make this actually. I don't really need to make it. It's very similar to my deconstructed Chinese chicken curry that I do. But yeah, I'm going to put the idea on Instagram and Facebook this morning. James, good morning, mate. Right, let me scan down. I am going in 10 minutes or so. I'm being quite straight. I've got to be out of the house for 20 to... Sometimes I can end up dawdling on a live. Then I do a bit of work afterwards. And then by the time I leave the house, it's like an hour gone. I really want to be out of the house this morning. I need to be back for lunchtime because I've got a lot of stuff to do this afternoon. I want to take the dogs for a good walk, and then I want to record a podcast. Got a lot of plans to write. I've actually ended up with 6 people. Well, I think I'm going to end up with 6 people starting. I hate making people wait to come on plan. Normally, when 5 people sign up, I move the date on to the next date, which would be, so I've got 5 people, but a client's messaged me this morning wanting to come back on board. They've not been on plan for 18 months. They want to come back on board, and I've just messaged them back, and I've just seen the WhatsApp come through. Yeah, I'm up for that. Can you send me the details and I'll sign up? So, and I will start them on Monday. So anyway, yeah, it's going to be Wednesdays generally. It's going to be podcast recording and a plan writing afternoon. I'm saving my calories for spoons on Friday. James is loving his spoons at the moment. I love a spoons. I do. I don't mind admitting it. One of my favourite afternoons. If I go out for a few beers, and I don't really drink that much anymore, but if I go out for a few beers, it's an afternoon little set, and I could think of nothing better than rocking up at Spoons at about 3 o'clock. Right, 3 o'clock's a good time. Right, rocking up at Spoons at about 3 o'clock, 3 till 7, couple of hours on the beers. Right, then at about 5 o'clock, hitting the menu up just to soak up the first 2 hours, getting yourself a wrap and chips. It's with a free drink. Right, well, not a free drink, but you get a wrap and chips and a pint for like 11 quid. Having your tea, soaking that up, and then maybe doing another hour on the sauce. Get home, 7 o'clock, get the telly on, crashed out in front of the telly. Oh, it's absolutely what a day. I've not had one of those in 2025. I will be having one at some point. What is the best pre-made protein shake? Again, it's all down to personal preference. I really like the Aldi ones. I do the cowbell ones. And they don't really taste any different to like the Pro Milks or anything like that. But they're cheap. They're 89p, or sometimes they're 89p, sometimes they're 99p. They might be slightly dearer now because they have increased the protein to 25 grams. So about 200 calories for 25 grams. You are never going to get the same calorie to protein ratio with a pre-made, or very rare. There are a couple out there that you would with a powdered shake that you're going to make at home. But still, 200 calories and to get 25 grams of protein in is decent. I like UFit. I like cowbell shakes. I like UFit shakes. I like the Goodness shakes. I think they're all much of a muchness, really, in terms of flavour. In fact, I've never even looked. You can actually see product codes, right? You can actually tell. You can actually work out if products are made in the same factory and just put into different containers, because they all have like a unique product code thing somewhere on the packet. I did research this once because someone was like, yeah, Aldi cornflakes are Kellogg's cornflakes or something. I was like, they're not. Oh no, it's Weetabix. I was like, Aldi Weetabix is just Weetabix, just in a different box. I'm like, that generally isn't. That generally isn't. You know, I love a lot of products from Aldi, but there are certain things in Aldi that I think the brands are better. Weetabix is better than Aldi Weetabix. I'll eat Aldi Weetabix, but Weetabix is better. And I ended up researching this and looking, you know. YouFit 50 gram protein, £2 in Morrison's at the moment. Kevin, they are. I did put that actually. I know like social media posts are very linear. So something I put on 2 weeks ago doesn't necessarily show up. But yeah, I did put it on with your Morrison's card. So YouFit 50 gram shakes. They're under 300 calories, right? Which is a great proteins, like the great proteins calorie ratio. I actually had the strawberry one the other day. I split them in half, me. They are, you know, I do split them in half, but the YouFit, like, I'll just get a glass out and I'll pour 250 grams into a glass, drink that, and then I'll have the other one the next day. But yeah, and they're good. YouFit shakes are decent. YouFit shakes are decent. I like the YouFit products actually. They're really, really good. Right, let me scan down. I am going very, very shortly. YouFit shakes are nice. I usually stock up at Farm Foods. Do you know what? I'm going to go to a Farm Foods tomorrow. I've never shopped in Farm Foods. I might have been in once in my life, and it's nothing to do with it being Farm Foods. We just don't really have one that's nearby, as it were. I only really started doing getting a few bits from Iceland because they put one in the range in Blackpool. Again, we don't, and then they opened up a food warehouse, which is Iceland, near Morrison's at Blackpool Airport, and we go there quite a bit now. But Farm Foods, there isn't really one that's like convenient. But I put the Iceland chicken skewers on. I really like them. You know, you always get the comments. You're better off making them yourself. Of course you are. You're better off making everything from scratch. But sometimes we don't have that luxury. And sometimes, in all honesty, we don't bloody want to. That is the honest truth. There is nothing wrong with saying, I can't be arsed cooking today. Right? There is absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Now, if you're going to make your own chicken kebabs that are like your barbecue or your sweet chili, you need to marinate them, which is thought process, which again, every now and then is fine. Most of the time is fine. You know, if I wanted to make chicken skewers for tomorrow and I wanted barbecue ones and I'm going to put a rub on them, I need to make them today. I need to make them today, box them up, put them in the fridge overnight, let that marinade settle in, right? Or you know, sometimes it's nice just to go to Iceland and buy a pack of frozen. They're good quality. I've had a lot of comments, really, and it is I kind of get it and I kind of don't get it. It's obviously a little bit racist, but a lot of people are like, oh, that chicken's from China, I'm not buying it. Look, at the end of the day, certain companies like Iceland might have opened up a factory in China. But I think what a lot of people think is because the chicken's from China, it's under Chinese regulations in a Chinese, and yeah, Chinese regulations for food hygiene and something isn't as good as ours. When the chicken comes from China, from Iceland, or My Protein, because I've had loads of people, or Aldi, right? UK companies have literally set up in China. Why? Because it's for the rights or wrongs of it, because it's cheaper to have a factory in China, right? And if you flew over to that factory, it's British run. It might have Chinese workers in it. Is anyone really that? It's 2025. Come on, people, get your head out the gutter, right? Doesn't matter who's employed, right? All the food regulations are British standard. So the chicken that is made in that might be used in Iceland kebabs or Aldi kebabs is exactly the same as if that factory was in the UK. Right? Now, I'm not saying it's organic, free range, corn fed, Goosner chicken or anything like that. It isn't. It's 3 packets for a tenner. But the actual regulations and standards of where the chickens are kept, the conditions, the way they're slaughtered, the way they're butchered is UK standard. It is then just frozen at source and flown over here. How that is cheaper than doing it in the UK, then the UK government need to answer that one because it shouldn't be a case, but it obviously is. And that's why it's 3 packets of 10 quid. Yeah, so that's just and don't get me wrong, if people are like, no, I just don't want, I want to eat stuff that's grown, fine, right? But you're going to pay a bit more of a premium for that, which I do. I'm not really that. I had a friend of mine actually. I put a post on about my local butchers, and he was like, "Stick that Aldi meat up your bum. Always shop at local butchers." And I just sort of commented because I don't want other people reading that. No one knew that he was a friend of mine. He was, but a lot of people like, look, we have to be like, we can be very sheltered in life, and certain people earn a lot of money, have a good standard of living, and they can afford to shop in their local shops all the time. Some people don't have that luxury, and that's why I try and show a broad range of everything. And I actually think the meat from Aldi is decent quality for what you pay. Most of it is from British farms, right? So that's kind of my sort of philosophies on it. And I do support my local butcher. I go every Thursday afternoon. I buy, and I spend at least 20 quid there, right? But do I also buy meat from Aldi? Yeah. Do I sometimes buy frozen chicken kebabs from Iceland? Yeah. Do I use the butchers at Morrison sometimes? Yeah, I do. Do I buy meat from Tesco? Yeah, I did on Sunday. I tend to use a whole variety of things. If I went to Aldi and bought 4 steaks, a kilo of chicken, a pack of mince, some bacon, right? It would be about, and the quality might be better at my look. And again, we can be a little bit naive to things. I know so the beef in my local butchers is sourced from a local farm. I know that, and it's expensive, right? So the steaks and the mince and all that, and the quality is very, very good. The chicken from my local butchers is from a factory shop down the road. I know that, right? Because I've spoke to the owner about it, and she's like, "Yeah, we don't have our own chickens. We get it from such and such." And I can literally go to that site, and it's all VAT packed in a great big pack, and then just buy it from them and open it up and put it on their shop front counter. Now I can go to that local factory shop myself and buy the chicken, and it's £5 a kilo if you buy 5 kilos at a time. So you get 5 kilos for 25 quid, whereas a kilo of chicken at my local butchers, same chicken, is £12. I don't blame them, and it's decent quality. It's good chicken, charging £12 because they've got rent to pay, they've got staff to pay, they've got rates to pay. You're not buying it direct from source. But a lot of people buy that chicken thinking, "Oh, I'm getting this organic grass-fed." Not grass-fed. It's a flipping chicken. It's not. It's just a chicken breast. Yeah. So it is different strokes for different folks. Loving the lives, Clara. Thank you very much. Guys, right, I'm being strict today. I'm going bang on past. I'm going to grab a bit of breakfast. Then I'm going to go to Home Bargains. I'm going to get a few bits from Home Bargains. Then I'm going to the gym. Then I'm coming home. Tomorrow, I'm going to go do a little bit of a shopping farm foods. Do I vlog it? I've never done a farm foods. I've not thought of this. I might vlog it. I might vlog the shop in farm foods. I'm waiting for my Ray-Ban Metas. That's what I'm waiting for, so I can wear my glasses and walk around. But I might take the old vlogging camera. I've never been to farm foods. I think I've been once. So I'm going to go to a farm foods. I might take my vlogging camera and have a walk around and see what's what. So we'll do. I wasn't going to do a shopping vlog this week. It might not come out till next week. We'll see. But yeah, I might do a little vlog. I'm not saying I'm buying loads, but I can just have a route round and we'll have a look and see if anything takes my fancy. Right, that's it, guys. I am. Yeah, guys. Oh, Michael's one of the people that said the farm foods kebabs. So I'm going to get some tomorrow, and we'll do. I might actually buy Aldi kebabs, farm foods, and Iceland, and I'll cook like the same flavour of each, and I'll cook them all, and I'll do a little video review and say which are the best sort of kebabs. Right. Yeah, that's it, guys. I'm done. TikTok's been a pleasure as always. If you're on plan or in the community, yeah, if you're on plan or in the community, I'll see you at 8 p.m. tonight. If you're not on plan or in the community, why not? Come get signed up. TikTok profile, Facebook page, YouTube page. Click on my link tree. Send over an inquiry form. I'll send you all the details. Or yeah, click on an inquiry form. I'll send you all the details. Or just get signed up. The links are all in my link tree. Right. TikTok. If you only follow me on TikTok, I'll be back tomorrow morning, just on TikTok tomorrow morning, because I'm going to take Rachel to work. Then I'm going to the gym. So I'll be doing the live in the car. So I'll see you tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure of the time. It could be 8:30, 9ish. It's going to be between 8:30 and 9. So I'll see you tomorrow. You guys, Facebook, YouTube. Yeah, as I've just said there, if you follow me on Facebook or YouTube, come over to TikTok tomorrow morning, because the live tomorrow morning is just going to be on TikTok, because I'm going to be in the car and I can't do the dual stream in the car. It'll be between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. We'll be on for an hour before I go into the gym. If you just follow me on Facebook or YouTube, I will be back on Friday morning. What time Friday? Oh no, I'm teaching spin Friday, so it'll be 11 a.m. normal time. I was gonna say I might do a 8:30 on Friday instead. I know I'll schedule it at 11. No, it'll be 11 o'clock. So I'm gonna go to the gym, do my spin class, and then when I get back, I'll jump on a live Friday. So if you don't follow me on TikTok, I'll see you Friday at 11 a.m. Have a great couple of days.